What is Hanukkah for kids? Hey kids, in this video we're going to learn about the Jewish holiday called Hanukkah, how it started, what it is, and why it's celebrated. Let's find out the story behind the menorah. We all know that during what we call the holiday season, there are a lot of different celebrations, usually accompanied by gifts and parties and a week off from school. Okay, admit it, that last thing was your favorite part of the holidays. But there are many different ways that people celebrate what we call the holiday season. There's the Christian celebration called Christmas, the African American holiday known as Kwanzaa, and the Jewish celebration known as Hanukkah, which is also referred to as the Festival of Lights, Feast of the Maccabees, or sometimes even Feast of Dedication. In fact, Hanukkah means dedication in the Hebrew language. And as you may have noticed, there are also many different ways to spell Hanukkah. Sometimes it's spelled Hanukkah with an H, sometimes Hanukkah with a CH, and sometimes you'll see two Ks in the word. But no matter how you spell it, it's always pronounced the same way. Hanukkah. Say it with me. Ha-na-ka. Hanukkah. And it's always celebrated over 8 days. Unlike Christmas, which lands on December 25th, the 8 days of Hanukkah can happen anywhere from late November to late December, all depending on the cycles of the moon. That's right, the moon determines when the Jewish people can celebrate their winter holiday. That's because the Jewish calendar is a lunar one, meaning it follows the various stages of the moon. While Christmas is a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ, Hanukkah has a different reason for existing. Broadly, Hanukkah reaffirms the ideals and beliefs of the Jewish religion, developed by the ancient Hebrew people. In the Jewish religion, there is one God who has revealed himself to Abraham, Moses, and other Hebrew prophets, and the religion follows the scripture or text from the Old Testament of the Bible. Other Jewish laws can be found in the Torah and the Talmud, which are the faith's main religious texts. To those who adhere to the religion, Judaism is considered to be an expression of the covenant that God established with the children of Israel, or the ancient Hebrew people. So while Judaism has a lot of rituals and beliefs, and there are a number of holidays throughout the year, including Passover, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, Hanukkah has a special place for Jews, as it commemorates a particularly difficult time in Jewish history. It all started in the 2nd century BC, when the Jews rose up against their oppressors in what was called the Maccabean Revolt. The Maccabees were a group of Jewish warriors led by a priest named Mattathias and his 5 sons. Talk about a cool name. In English, Maccabee translates to sledgehammer or extinguisher. At that time, the Jewish people lived in a land called Judea, also known as the Land of Israel, and they were being ruled by Antiochus III, the king of Syria. Antiochus III was a good king who allowed the Jews to live peacefully in Syria and practice their religion. But when Antiochus III's son, who's named, you guessed it, Antiochus IV, became king, he took a different approach, telling the Jews they had to worship the Greek gods. When the Jews rebelled against the new rule, Antiochus IV ordered his soldiers into the city to kill thousands of people and destroy the Jewish people's second temple. In its place, they erected a temple to the Greek god Zeus and sacrificed pigs in sight of it, which was deeply offensive to the Jews. That's when the Maccabees, led by Mattathias and his brothers, led a rebellion against Antiochus IV. When Mattathias died 2 years later, his son Judah Maccabee took over the rebellion and drove the Syrians out of Syria. Victory! At that point, the second temple was rebuilt and a gold candelabrum with 7 branches was placed in the temple and lit. That candelabrum was known as a menorah. When they lit the menorah, they thought there would only be enough oil for it to burn for 1 night. But somehow, according to the Talmud, the oil miraculously burned for 8 nights. Pretty cool! Because the oil burned for 8 nights instead of 1, it gave the Jews in Jerusalem enough time to go and find a fresh supply of oil. Because of this amazing event, the elders were inspired to proclaim an 8-day holiday to commemorate the burning of the menorah oil. To this day, lighting the menorah is a large part of the celebration of Hanukkah, as you can see here. This family is lighting the shamash, otherwise known as the servant candle. This 9th candle on the menorah is called a servant candle because it's used to light the other 8 candles, one for each night of Hanukkah. Because it was a long time ago, the Maccabean rebellion is just one theory about how Hanukkah started. Another theory says that Hanukkah was actually just a delayed celebration of Sukkot, which is a 7-day Jewish celebration involving feasting, prayer, and festivities. As this theory goes, because Sukkot was delayed that year because of the Maccabean rebellion, when they finally did celebrate, that became Hanukkah. Whichever theory you believe, Hanukkah is a fun-filled 8 nights of eating good food, gathering with family, and lighting up the night sky with all kinds of interesting-looking menorahs. Instead of olive oil, which was used in ancient days, nowadays people who celebrate Hanukkah use candles, one placed in each of the 8 arms of the menorah. During Hanukkah, it's typical for candles to be lit from right to left, which is the same way that the Hebrew language is written and read. As the candles are being lit, blessings are said to express the meaning of the holiday. Menorahs used to be placed outside the home when they were lit, but eventually they were moved inside the house. It's probably a lot safer that way. And hey, you don't want your menorah candles to be snuffed out by the wind or extinguished by the rain, or maybe even knocked over by a curious raccoon or squirrel. One of the most famous of all Hanukkah events occurs each year in Israel, the annual relay from Modi'in to Jerusalem, which features runners carrying burning torches through the streets until the final runner gets to the Western Wall, also called the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. When the torch carrier gets to the wall, he hands his torch to the chief rabbi, which is a Jewish scholar. The rabbi then uses the torch to light the first candle on a giant menorah. The celebration also involves singing hymns, reading scripture, and offering blessings, in addition to almsgiving, which is the practice of giving money or food to the poor. In addition to lighting the menorah every night for 8 nights, other Hanukkah traditions are more secular or non-religious, and they include cooking and eating latkes and sufganiyot, which are potato cakes and donuts, both fried in oil to remember the oil that burned for 8 days. There are also games associated with Hanukkah, such as spinning the dreidel, which is a 4-sided top. Each side of the top has a Hebrew letter on it, and the 4 letters stand for the phrase, "A great miracle happened here." During Hanukkah, it's also typical to eat and give out gelt, which are chocolate coins. And of course, there are the presents. Typically, 1 gift for each night of Hanukkah. That's 8 gifts, which are usually opened after lighting the menorah. This ritual of gift-giving likely started because of Hanukkah is celebrated in countries that also celebrate Christmas. So, it was borrowed from the Christian holiday. Hanukkah also has another unique thing associated with it. Since the word means education, the Hanukkah celebration often involves rabbis and teachers imparting to students the strength and perseverance of the Jewish, reflected in the holiday. All in all, Hanukkah is a holiday that Jews celebrate often alongside their Christian friends, because they both occur around the same time. In the Jewish faith, however, Hanukkah is not as religiously significant as some of the other holidays that Jews celebrate, so the people can still work and go to school during the holiday. In Israel, there are 6.5 million Jews, about the same number as there are in the United States. All told, there are about 15 million Jews every year who celebrate the Festival of Lights. That's a whole lot of spinning dreidels, fried latkes, and burning menorahs. Thanks for following Clarendon Learning. Be sure to subscribe. For more free resources, check us out at clarendonlearning.org.